Hello everyone, Seraphin here, welcome back for more Fire Emblem Sacred Stones, the post-game edition. When I last left you guys, we had just finished floor 3 of the Lagdou ruins. We are moving on today to floor number 4, imagine that. So we're going to jump right in. I went ahead and got everybody prepared. Fun fact, we get to deploy 10 units, as opposed to the normal 8 for this chapter. Why that is, I'm not entirely certain, but I decided to use that extra space to add our resident lords, Ephraim and Erica. We removed Artur from the lineup because he's maxed out, and we replaced him with Molder instead, because I want to get Molder to a reasonable level, and he's still a bishop, so he'll still kick everybody's butts. That being said, the rest of the team is everybody you're already acquainted with. We added Tana back in. We don't need Calm for this. This map's quite large. I'll get a little quick here scan over so you can see. It's very similar to that Tower of Valny map. I think it was floor number 6. It was like this labyrinthine area full of crackable walls. There is one treasure chest up here in this corner, and there's also one down here in this corner. So I gave Ephraim and Erica each a chest key. So we're gonna go ahead and divide up our forces. One will go to the right and down, and the other will go down and then right. And they will meet up down here to deal with this boss Gwilgi, which is going to be awesome. There is a fair smattering of different kinds of monsters in here. Lots of Gorgons, my favorite, as you might imagine. Thankfully, all of them do not have stone abilities. I mean, a great deal of them still do, but not all of them do. You see some of them just have Demon Surge and nothing else, which is great. And there, of course, is one Shadow Shot one right here. So we're going to need to be wary of that. Other than that, though, pretty straightforward, pretty rank and file. Nothing to drop from any of these guys. I went ahead and looked already. There's no droppable items, at least not from what's on the board. That might change with whatever reinforcements end up showing up, but for the time being, we got nothing. By the way, Garrick did reach A rank in axes, so he can silver axe this wall for a whopping 40 damage. We don't really need him to do that, though, so we're just going to break the wall like a normal person. And I might as well have Natasha bust the thing down, since she's really high near max level and doesn't need the help either. Ewan, on the other hand, has not had a lot of fun times in recent memory, so we're going to go and let him go to town here. Just a little bit. I think he'll be okay. I need to level up his Anima rank, but it's really difficult to do when you've got all these dark magic characters on the map, and it's just rough. Please don't hit. That'd be... Oh, he hit, of course. That being said, I did bring at least 2 Restore Staff users. I'm going to have one with each party, because I don't want to run the risk of somebody getting turned to stone and I can't get it across the map to go heal them. So, with that being said, I'm just going to have Molder come in and heal this guy. And as I mentioned before, Molder does need some battle experience under his belt to get his combat stats aligned with the rest of the party, so thankfully he's got a decent chunk of defense for a bishop and really good HP, and as we mentioned already, really good con, so he's okay. His luck's the only shabby thing. Resistance isn't great either, but he does have the Hopple on guard, so he'll be protected from critical hits. And we're going to send Amelia down this way with her Iron Blade of Awesome. And as I mentioned, we're going to have each of our twin lords go one separate direction as well. And we'll have Lara Shell knock the wall down. Can I get anybody in there? I think Ephraim can make it in and deal with that Gwilgi before he does anything stupid. Yeah, let's deal with him. Wow, Ephraim only has 24 speed and he still doubles this guy, so that's pretty good. And he misses on an 88 with a javelin throw. Awesome. Alright, so we'll have Ephraim go down. We'll have Erica go this way. Just use an iron sword. It's no big deal. Tethys, I think, will go with the bottom party. And we'll have Tana go with these guys. Maybe, question mark. I don't know. I haven't quite decided how I want to split my group up just yet. So we'll sit tight for a minute while I figure that out. This one's going to be a little bit slow, just because there's so many different little labyrinthine halls to go down, and a lot of things in my way, and it's going to be kind of bottlenecking situation. Most of my characters have really good movement, though. I've got a lot of mounted and flying people. The only bottleneck, I think, is going to be Amelia, because she only moves 5. But she also is on the slightly faster path, so I think that'll help mediate some of that. Or mitigate, I should say, not mediate. Mitigate. That's a great word, isn't it? So this will be fun. I remember this. I remember this map specifically because I thought this was one of the. This is the map I was thinking of when we went into that tower map, and I was like, "Oh, it's this thing." Nope, it's the other one. There's one in each. That being said, every map from now on is going to be a little interesting, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. It's been some time since I played through the tower, as I've mentioned, but not long enough that I don't remember there were some really nasty maps that are just an absolute big pain in my butt. But we'll get that when we get there. That being said, I kind of cut myself off a little bit with talking about Awakening last episode, so I figured I'd get back into that, and for those of you who are interested, all three of you. That being said, I like talking about Awakening because it's the game that I was able to use to get other people into the series, and that was something that I had never even conceived of. And that, I know that sounds weird. You're like, why wouldn't people want to play this game if it's so good? Well, it is good, but for whatever reason, a great number of my friends are not really into tactics and strategy games. I'm kind of a black sheep in that regard. I'm really the only one amongst my group of friends that's really into these kind of games. And that's really sad, because these are honestly incredibly enjoyable. I can understand not being into it because I get it. It's not for everyone. Then that's the same with everything, right? There's certain genres of game that people just won't play. But on the other hand, there's a lot to be gained, I think, from these kind of games. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that it forces you to think. It forces you to formulate strategies and adapt when things go wrong, because they very frequently will, as we've seen time and time again throughout the course of this playthrough so far. And on top of that, there's just a lot of really interesting mechanics, and there's a really great story behind most of these games. And that, ultimately, I think, is the big cinching point for me, is how much of a great story there is. It's not the case with every single one, but it is the case with most of them. And I think you don't get a lot of that great... I mean, RPGs is probably the best example of really great storytelling in video games because, well, they really don't have much of a choice, right? Storytelling is very essential to RPGs. I'm not going to say that it's... Okay, essential maybe might be the wrong word. But try to think of the last time you played an RPG that didn't focus on the story. It's been a long time, I imagine. Or if you ever have. I imagine it's, not a very common recurring thing. But that being said, it's something you don't tend to see very much with RPGs not focusing on story, because it's so much of what's important to the game is the story. And I definitely think that this is no exception. If there weren't as good of a story in Fire Emblem, it probably wouldn't be anywhere near as entertaining for me. That's why I like Shining Force so much, because that also has a very compelling story behind it. If at times a little strange, only because I think they didn't translate it terribly perfectly from Japanese, and that might be, there's always going to be something lost in translation. It's the same with these games. The localization for Fire Emblem, however, is very good. In my experience, at any rate, I have yet to run into a circumstance where something didn't translate properly or just sounded weird as a result. Maybe a couple of examples of that, but I'm hard-pressed to think of any of them off the top of my head right now. So, that being said, very story-driven, it's a thinking person's kind of game, these tactics games, and I like that a lot, because I pride myself on being, I'm not going to say an intellectual, that's the wrong word, but I pride myself on enjoying games that force me to use my brain and not just, mindless exercises and entertainment. And don't get me wrong, there's certainly a lot of outlets and a lot of... I can understand the value in a game that's just mindless fun for the sake of having fun. I certainly enjoy a good shooter now and then. In fact, I just played one the other night. So, I get it. And not to say that there is nothing tactical or brain-engaging about playing a shooter, depending on what it is. But you certainly... It takes a back burner to something like this, where that's your primary focus, is you need to figure... It's like a puzzle, but you have a lot of pieces that fit in different holes, if that makes any sense. I'm really bad at analogies. But that's the way that I think of these games, is it's a puzzle game, but your pieces are not rigid and, they're not fixed pieces. They can be, there's multiple different ways to solve the same puzzle with Fire Emblem. And that's always been a very compelling and unique aspect to this series that I like a lot. There's always a way through, you just got to figure it out. Even if it seems like you're totally screwed and there's nothing you can do, there's always a way through. You just got to find it. And that's what I think is the really compelling aspect of the permanent death system is, oh, you lost that really good character, so now you have to soldier on without them. But you can still do it. Like, there's never really a circumstance in these games where you're horribly screwed and you can't possibly progress. Good lord, Ephraim. He's so good. 23, his cap's really low. That's the only problem with Ephraim. His speed and defense could certainly be higher. They really could be. And his strength cap's good. His skill, I wish, was a little higher, too, but he's got to sacrifice something, I guess. But being the main character, he really should have higher caps than that. At any rate, I'll stop complaining now. But there's just so much depth and so much intrigue, if that's the right word I'm looking for here. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But that's what's always drawn me to this series, and in tactics games in general. It's a puzzle that you have to figure out even if you don't know exactly what pieces you're working with. And I find that very compelling and very interesting and very fun. And I guess, unfortunately, I don't have a great number of friends that feel the same. I have gotten a couple of them to play certain installments of the game before. I have a very close personal friend who I've tried on several occasions to get into the series, and I've even loaned him my copies of the games. He'll sit and play through a few chapters. He's like, yeah, this is cool, but he really couldn't get into it, and it's still the case today, unfortunately. Even with things that like Awakening or some of the newer installments, you just can't get into it, and that's fine. He's got his own thing. Him and I have very different tastes with regards to certain game types. He's very much a classic gamer. He loves the old school, like Super Mario and Zelda and that kind of a deal, which is great. I like those games too. They're not my go-to, but they are for him, and that's fine. But I really wish I had the ability to, I guess, introduce the series to more people. I think there's a very untapped potential group of people who'd be entertained by watching and playing these games. And sadly, my reach is very limited, my influence is very limited, so I don't have a great ability to bring my joy of this game to other people. At least not in a very consistent sense, but if I can get even a single person to start playing this as a result of being entertained by watching me play through it, or me explaining it, or me talking about it, then I feel like I've done something good. Because the more people that play this series, the better, in my opinion. And it's only continuing to grow. In fact, it's growing exceedingly quickly right now, which is great. And a lot of that has to do, believe it or not, with the advent of Fire Emblem Heroes, which a lot of more diehard players are not really that big of a fan of, simply because it's a mobile adaptation, and it's streamlined, it's pulled back, it's cut down, that kind of a deal. But it's still a Fire Emblem game at its core, when you really boil it down. And maybe some people will disagree with that assertion, but I fervently believe that Heroes is a good thing for the series. Because it's done so much to engage players that might otherwise not have tried it. And because it's accessible and on a mobile platform, there's people that would never have considered playing through it that are like, hey, maybe I'll give this a shot. Because it's on their phone, it's easily accessible, and it's quite frankly, it's free to play, so there's no drawback in terms of their ability or their resources being used to getting access to it, which is very nice. And Heroes has absolutely exploded the popularity of this franchise in the last couple of years. It's been out for a little over 2 years now. I got in immediately because, well, of course I did. But the fact that I've been able to get people in my circle of friends and even some members of my family that I've been able to get to play it, even on just a partial basis, it's been very gratifying for me and very enjoyable to see them be at least somewhat exposed to the series that I have so much admiration for. I will say I'm certainly the person who puts the most effort and time and, well, at this point, money into it, but that's neither here nor there. But it's very gratifying to me to see that. And quite frankly, Heroes has raked in a boatload of cash for Nintendo, too. So they're going to continue to pump resources and direction into that, I think, which is great. Because that just means more Fire Emblem for me, and that usually means better quality Fire Emblem, too. More time, more resources, more money getting put into the development of these games. And that's only really going to increase the quality. I've always had a great deal of respect for how Nintendo develops their titles. Very, very few circumstances does Nintendo not put 110% into their efforts. They put a very fine mirror sheen polish on just about everything they do. Because, well, they've been around for so long. You can't really stay in this business that long without doing something right. So I have a lot of respect and admiration for Nintendo because of that. And I don't see that going away anytime soon. So the fact that they're able to continue to do that with Fire Emblem is very intriguing and very... It just makes me happy. Let's put it that way. And for those of you who haven't played Heroes, you might as well give it a try. Like I said, it is free to play, although it's changed a lot since it came out. If you didn't get in on the ground floor with that, it might be a little interesting for you. Should I crack this now, or should I wait for that thief to get closer so I can kill him? Because I don't want him going off for the other one real quick. But I don't want to waste turns either. It's an interesting dichotomy here. You know what? I think I will just bust it open now. I'll deal with that thief later. A killing edge, cool. I'll use that. I think Eric has already got one, conveniently enough, but... Alright, how best to deal with this Shadow Shot Gorgon? I don't think I'll be able to get to it before it outright wastes all of its uses, so... Not really much point in worrying about it at this point, I suppose. What I will do, however, is knock this wall down. So Ephraim can get in and take care of these silly suckers. That Gorgon, too, because I don't want to be anywhere near that thing. It's got stone, I believe, so... Let's take care of him. Thankfully, nobody near that Shadow Shot is really lacking for resistance. Even Ephraim's got 13, which is a respectable number. He can't even get two-shot by that. So we'll put him a little closer. Nope! Crap. Whatever. Larshell can do it, too. And she can't get hit by light or by stone, so she'll be fine. Divine slows her down a little bit, but considering her speed is so ridiculous, it won't matter. Okay, she can get potentially hit, but she won't. 5%? Give me a break. Although, didn't that happen in Chapter 18? I remember something vaguely horrible like that happening, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Okay, let's see if she gets the last magic point. And she doesn't. Alright, well, that's unfortunate. Almost. Almost cap magic. So close. Yeah, well. The sucky thing, too, is if I want to cap it for her by using an energy ring, it'll actually waste half of it. Because those things actually give you 2 points for the stat instead of 1, but what are you going to do? You can't go over your stat caps, folks. As neat as that would be, although it would effectively render them pointless. That's actually a lie. You can go over your stat caps if, in Awakening, you have an ability called Limit Breaker, which you can earn from the DLC unlimited numbers of times, so you can get every character in your entire roster with it. But it increases your character's stat caps by 10 in every stat. Like, imagine that. The crazy thing about Awakening, too, is it's another example where you have infinite grinding for XP potential. When you have access to something that raises all your caps by 10, holy crap. Apologies as I drink something real quick. Thankfully, we're dodging all this stone nonsense. Not a fan of stone, as we've talked about previously. Is Thief still going this way? Huh. Okay. Let's see here. Why don't we take care of Mr. Smiley here? I don't know why I'm calling him that. He's not particularly happy, it looks like. Maybe he is. Maybe he's happy to be here. Who knows? I don't know how the evil creatures of the dead handle their recruitment or their morale or anything like that. They probably don't care too much. Well, she might still cap luck. She might cap luck and speed. That's it, though. As long as she gets both of those when she levels up next time, she'll cap luck and speed. which will be nice, because that'll be an incredibly dodgy general. 75, holy smokes. And it'll be even higher than that, like, holy crud. Like I said, defense growth was never her strongest suit, but she didn't really need it when she's not getting hit by anything. And 50 hit points is nothing to snicker at either. Let's see here. I could potentially take down the Shadow Shot guy before he goes again. It is possible. Not entirely likely, but possible. Why don't we just take this guy out real quick? I realize I'm using a Silver Lance when I really don't need to be. I probably could have just given him like an Iron or a Steel or something instead of wasting a Silver one. That's something that has always been a point of contention for me with regards to the quality of weapons and their number of uses. I understand for the purposes of game balance that you have the higher quality weapons have fewer uses, because you don't want the best stuff accessible all the time. Fates. But at the same time, like, the idea is that it's better quality and better made stuff, so why wouldn't it have more uses? Like, is it falling apart quicker? That makes no sense. I don't know. It's one of those things where I have a hard time reconciling game balance with common sense and practicality, so to speak. So, take that as you will. Let's get rid of the Shadow Shot guy. I don't want to deal with him anymore. Pretty sure Gorgons are female. I keep saying him, and it's whatever. It's not even really a matter of gender. They're just these disgusting monsters. Alright, we're on track to cap resistance. I think she does have 25 cap for magic, so she won't cap that, but almost. Again, we're going to be pulling a Lara shell here. 1 point off from capping magic, it seems like. Let's ruin this guy's day by driving a sword into his face. This is like this is like the last human soldier we've seen in a very, very long time. Everybody else has just been creepy undead monsters up to this point. So that's a little interesting, seeing a human. Unless he's like a zombified thief or some nonsense, I don't know. It's entirely possible, I guess. Here's the issue. I don't want Molder to get turned to stone, and he very likely could. His dodge ability is not fantastic. And I don't have anybody that can hit that stupid Gorgon from here. You know what? Let's get Ewan out of the way, because I don't want him there anyway. We'll put Molder right in front, so he can deal with that white, and then move him up after that. And we'll just take Ewan and drop him right there. Oh yeah, now that Erica's here, I have access to my convoy while in the field. That's nice. Probably won't be terribly necessary, but it is nice. Ow! Okay, that didn't feel great. Okay, Molder, thankfully, is a little hardier than most, but taking a steel axe to the face still is not something he's probably very fond of. Again, thankfully, he cannot be critically hit, so there's always that. Not that a lot of these guys would have a great deal of chance to crit him anyway, but any number above 0 is always bad. You don't want to get hit by a stray lucky crit for no reason. Oh, resistance, cool. I think he's capped skill. I'll have to go take a look. Nope, not quite. Actually, he gets quite a decent skill cap, doesn't he? Alright, we're going to need to be careful here. Let's go ahead and heal up Mr. Molder here. I think he'll be alright. Even if he does get turned to stone with the Hoplon Guard, he's immune to being crit, so it won't matter. So we'll park him right here. He'll be okay. And we'll just send the rest of the crew down one at a time so we can dispatch with that stupid Gorgon when we get there. Alright, we're going to go ahead and start moving over to this side so I can contend with these mongrels and also get that treasure chest. I have not forgotten about it, I promise. I'll start breaking some more walls. A lot of walls to break, a lot of weapons getting quote-unquote wasted in the process, but what are you going to do? Alright, so I realize again I got sidetracked talking about Awakening, but Awakening was... It's another great introduction to the series, if you ask me. And I say that because even though they packed everything possible into it in an effort to get people to play it, it's still very nice on the ground floor. Like, there's just enough... There's enough complexity for it to be enjoyable for people who like really complex situations, but there's also... It's also accessible and easy enough for new players to get into it. And it starts off very simple and just kind of progresses up from there. And really, you can have as much complicated progression as you want. You can kind of tailor-make it to how you want to do it. Way more luck. Cool. Like, you don't have to go into all the advanced mechanics and everything. You don't even need to worry about the children aspect of it or the marriage aspect either if you don't want to. With the exception of the main character, you must... He's going to get married and have a kid regardless of what you do. But every other character, it's entirely optional. You can do whatever you want. This is interesting. Not entirely certain why that's doing that, but alright. I mean, I'll get a free kill on a Gorgon. Absolutely. And the boulder will level up continuously here. More luck in defense, alright. Very interesting stat spread. Oh no, a 7% critical hit rate for 2 damage. Whatever will I do? Besides laugh at this guy. But yeah, the nice thing about Awakening is it really is a nice, and I say this, I realize I say this every once in a while for random reasons, but it's a return to form for Fire Emblem, and that's really nice because even if you've never played it before, if you've been playing it forever, it's a nice breath of fresh air, really. I like Awakening quite a bit. I've beaten it several times, and I confess there's some of the DLC I haven't finished yet, even though I've owned the game since it came out. I even have like the limited edition 3DS with the really cool Awakening emblem on it, which is, by the way, the best thing ever. But that being said, there's a lot still I have to do in that game. The final DLC in that game is brutal. Absolutely brutal. It's the most challenging map in Fire Emblem history, and that is not an exaggeration. The reason for that is because all of the enemies have hyper-inflated stats to the point of incredulity. I don't know why I'm using Sigmund on him, I just felt like it, because I can. And it's a one-shot on a Gwilgi, and I hate those. Anyway, just for reference, the final map, a normal enemy, not even a boss enemy, a normal enemy, has upwards of, like, 70 defense. That is not an exaggeration. As for why that is, it's called Apotheosis, the name of the map. So it's like you're dealing with regular old units who have quote-unquote ascended to godhood, and they're just absurdly powerful. And the only possible way you can beat it is by using that limit breaker skill I mentioned earlier to increase all your caps by 10, and have the best possible characters you can possibly have with the best skills you can possibly have, which usually equates to the children characters because they're just usually better than their parents, straight up. But holy smokes, I've watched playthroughs of it online of people who, you know, like perfect it without losing any units and just have like maximum forged weapons and unbelievable skill combinations and the pair-up mechanic, and it's ridiculous. It looks really cool, and I would love to attempt it and maybe even beat it someday, but I have not quite put in the requisite time or attention to get myself to that point yet. I do have the map, I just haven't played it yet, because I don't want to lose immediately. Alright, we need to quit getting hit by stuff. It's starting to get old here. Although the Gorgons are almost all dead, there's only a couple left. I will say, even when they don't have stone, they're annoying because that Demon Surge really hurts. They have a lot of magic behind it. Even when you've got halfway competent resistance, it still hits like a truck. Somebody like Natasha or La Rochelle probably wouldn't care quite so much, but... That being said, more thieves? Are you kidding me? What do these guys even have? Just iron swords and lockpicks? The last remnants of human society in this area, and we've got thieves. Okay, yeah, see, Natasha does not give a single crap about Demon Surge here. With 30 resistance, why would she? I mean, come on. This will probably cap her out, right? If I kill this thing? We'll see. But yeah, if you were looking for a good entry point to the series, I've said a few times this is actually a really good one. because it's easy. You can take your time. You can pace yourself. Do as much grinding as you want. You've got a lot of flexibility. There we go, capped resistance. You have a lot of flexibility in this game with regards to character class choices and that kind of a situation. That is beautiful. 30 resistance, 30 luck, 26 speed. Good lord. She is not getting hit by anything or hurt by it as long as it doesn't do physical damage. We're going to have Larshell go with Ellawood. I just said Ellawood, did I? F from here because I don't need him getting killed. In fact, I think even though they're not required to deploy, if you lose Erica or Ephraim in the tower, it is game over. Or in the ruins, rather. So, there's that. Bear that in mind. You'll just have wasted all that progress for nothing. Anybody else is fine, obviously, because we can let Kyle die and there was no side effects, but you generally don't want to let people die if you can help it, especially when you're really deep into the situation and you can't turn around and go back. Alright, we're making our way through the situation here. I think I'll just knock over this archer real quick because he has a longbow anyway. Larshell is now capped, as is Natasha. Anybody else? Oh, Archer's capped too. Tethys has always been capped, really. More longbows? Man, you guys are obnoxious. I don't like longbows very much. These silly thieves think they're going to get this treasure chest. I'm just going to park Amelia over here. Is she capped yet? Not quite. Well, she will be very soon. We'll go Iron Blade here. That sounds like fun. And I'm just going to bust down this wall. I'm going to reunite my people here. Is Garrick capped? No, he's got one more level to go, too. Almost there. Didn't get a whole lot of use out of Molder this particular map, but I mean, you got a few levels. Would have preferred he got more, but that's alright. Can't have everything you want. I don't want to waste the spear on a wall. So we'll just knock it down with magic, somehow. Have Ephraim knock the wall down, and we'll send him in there. Excuse me. I think he can handle those Gwilgies just fine, honestly. His defense and speed are capped, so he's there. He's good there. Alright. What'll that be for him here? 15. Getting close to a strength cap. He could potentially max luck. I don't think he will, but he could. If he gets it from every level from now on. Right, you silly jerk. Sadly, I do not double because his cap's not high enough. We land a good hit on him regardless. Same with this guy, probably. That boss, I don't think is going to move. I guess we'll have to wait and see. They normally don't. Oh, I doubled that one. That's pretty cool. I keep forgetting I gotta send Ephraim to the left to get that treasure chest, actually, because he has the key on him. My last key. Might be able to get him over there next turn if I make judicious use of Tethys here. I'm going to pull back Larashell, actually, so someone else can get a whack on this bale. Namely... Wow, I can't even... Jeez, I gotta use Alhuma to kill this thing in one hit? That's absurd. Yeah, I do. I really do have to. Or one round, rather, not one hit. Unless I crit, but it's not likely to happen at this point. Oh, pfft. Really? Well, whatever. It is what it is. Still have plenty of uses on those things. That's the thing, too, is those priceless relic weapons, in my opinion, they really should be, like, infinite use, because they're ancient relics of obscene power. Like, how would they not be an infinite use situation? Let's see if I can crit this thing. Come on, Erica, you can do it. Yep, there she goes. Almost another level up for her. What is she at anyway? 9. She only got one level out of this whole situation. Oh, the boss did move. That was the boss. Wow, I didn't realize that. Alright, let's get Ephraim over here. So I can open that chest up before we defeat every enemy on the map. I will knock down this silly thief. I'll just use my iron blade, huh? Probably only get like 4 experience points out of him, if that. Exactly 4. Look at that. Alright, and then we'll crack open this treasure chest. Dragon spear. Alright. I'll take it. I don't think I need that, but I'll take it anyway. We'll dispatch with this Gwilgi with a spear. Tana's, you know, first real in-battle action this map, I think. She's quite good. I'm happy with her, how she turned out, too. Look at that. So good. That's how you know a unit is good when they cap their luck. It's not very many units can do that. Luck is not, by the way, that important of a stat, but it is very nice to have. And this will probably be the kill here. Can't imagine why it wouldn't be. Especially if she pierces this guy. Nope, no pierce. Oh, there it is. That's the pierce. Alright, well, we ended on a high note with a pierce and a level up for Tana. Yeah, she's going to cap luck too, by the looks of it. That's awesome. Alright, that is floor number 4 down. So we'll be moving on to floor number 5 next time. See if we get anything for clearing 4. I think we do. Nope, maybe not. Alright, well, in that case, we are moving on to floor number 5 in the next episode. So until that time, thank you very much for watching up to this point. I really do appreciate it. And I will join you for part 5 next time. So until then, this has been Seraphin. Stay classy, internets.